Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum Bridge again. It's great. We've got Kia back.
Yes.
Welcome to the show again, Kia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
You're welcome. It's been she's been very supportive of the show, and we'd like to thank everybody that has watched her videos and subscribed to our channel based off the back of that. It's been really nice, and everyone's interacted with us, some nice comments. So it's been great. But on that note, I'll pass over to Casper.
Okay.
What are we talking about today? Metals, I believe.
Very good question. Very good question. I'm sure with me involved in anything, it'll go off in all different directions.
Yeah.
I'll try to not. I've got my cat involved as usual. If I leave him out, he'll cry. If I've got him in, he'll pester me. But anyway, Kia, it's as always a huge pleasure to have you here, and thank you for introducing us to so many of the American audience, the North American audience, because that's making a real difference to our channel and our reach. And we just are, just to reiterate that, we're really thankful to you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always thrilled and excited when I know I'm going to come on your show because I never actually met anybody from where you all are. So this is great for me.
Well, we feel exactly the same. And so today we got the chance to spend some more time together, which is wonderful. And I think that we're going to, as Gary said, delve into the area of precious metals, but not just what they mean on a very cursory level, although it's incredibly important that you can actually have and hold and own still these metals, whether they be gold, silver, and a variety of others. But also it's key to us on a spiritual level. We all believe there's something more, there's something going on that's deeper and maybe more fundamental as well. So we'd love just to open that up for discussion. So Kia, I know that you're steeped in this area. You've got obviously this wonderful relationship with Miles Franklin, the company that allows you to reach people and give them a direct access to actually being involved in owning metals and taking in their sovereignty in that way. So maybe you can just touch on what, particularly silver, because I think that that's something that's very accessible, but generally what these metals mean to you.
Yeah, well, these metals are very important to me because it's constitutional money and God's money. We've been using gold and silver for money since biblical times and probably even before then, Casper. So I value them as real money, as something that God created, and as something that's used for other purposes. For example, gold has been also used as jewelry as well as for money. Silver has been used, or it continues to be used for industrial purposes. So your solar panels have silver, your catalytic converter in your car, your appliances, your refrigerator, stove, microwave oven, even your computer and your cell phone, they all contain silver. So these metals are very important in that regard, but they're also precious because they heal you and they have some energetic value. So they raise your vibrational frequencies. And honestly, Caspa and Gary, I kind of think this is the real reason they took it away from us because of the value that they provide outside of being used as money.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yes,
a bit like that. Just another thing that they've detached us from in that sense.
And also maybe the other area for us to, we've both got the cats attacking us. The other area for us all to consider that I think is becoming more front of mind for many now is that particularly silver, and it may well be the other metals as well, palladium, platinum and so on, but the likelihood of them being used in new technologies and when, all of these new patents, for example, that many of us expect to come out shortly. I think that will also, if we're just talking about the value, the realizable value against these, suddenly they should, in theory, become much more expensive as well.
Absolutely, yeah. In order to pay off all the debt, at least here in America, you will have to revalue gold to $10,000 to $100,000 per ounce. So gold will revalue. And then there was, I think it was it Bill Holter, who was an economist, that said you may even have to revalue gold to $800,000 per ounce. That's a lot, considering we only pay 2,000. Well, I'm saying only, but it's out of my budget. It's 2,000 per ounce now.
A tiny little bit of dust like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally agree with that sentiment that at the moment, despite the fact that, for us, it's pretty much out of reach, but silver is something that Gary and I both find interesting and have had the chance at least to engage with to some degree. But I think for anybody who's thinking now about their wealth, about maintaining their wealth, even never mind actually making more, but maintaining. Given that everything else feels like, at least to me, it's somewhat in a level of imploding. Where else are you going to go in times like these? These have always been safe havens. And one thing I wanted to remind people who are more new to this area of precious metals is that, of course, until, what was it, the middle of last century, these were being, silver was involved in our coinage to a great degree, and that there was this backing of our currencies until we went into the whole world of fiat currency and so on. It was actually the thing that not so long ago underpinned the value of our money. And Kira, I know that you're very much close to that as well.
Absolutely. And then in terms of precious metals being used for other things, if you remember, I don't know if it was like that there where you all are. You're in London?
Yeah.
Yes. Here in America, they called the whole sickness that we all experienced with the shutdown.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch my words.
Yeah, we understand.
They called it the C word back when it first came out, CORONA. And that is because it is actually a banking term. It's a secret coded message that they were using between each other, because the word actually means crown. Yes. So you all know this. It means crown, as in your crown chakra, as in gold. And so we're moving to a golden era where the crown chakra all over the planet, the part that raises your frequencies and awaken you, they're all being activated. Yeah. Gold helps to activate your consciousness, and it helps to clean your pineal gland. It raises your frequencies. It raises your consciousness. It helps you ascend to Christ consciousness, so to speak. So they were not only alerting each other that this is the time that we'll be using gold for money, but this is a time where people will actually have their crown chakras activated in ascending consciousness. And we see that actually happening now. People are waking up.
We're getting there, yeah.
We're
getting well, I think I've seen a lot of people at what we might call the first step, where they're fed up, and I think this is a great moment. They're like, I've had enough, and I think, right, well, that's kind of where it starts, that you can't put up with the rubbish anymore. So
you just can't. People are tired, and as the news trickles out about that sickness and how they were forcing us to do certain things and how this was all planned, they're waking up and they're becoming angry.
I mean, I brought these along because there was something when people started saying to me, "I'll buy silver," and I thought, well, what do you mean? I didn't know anything, and I thought, well, a bracelet? I mean, what,
Right.
Yeah. And then someone said to me, "Oh, no sovereigns." I thought, well, I don't know what that means, So then I had to go off and find all this stuff out. I knew a little bit because I was into antiques. I knew a little bit about hallmarks and things like that. So you've got a different grade of silver for jewelry. What in the UK we call it 925. It's the same grade in the States, but it would normally say sterling.
Okay.
I don't think you have the same hallmarks like us, but really, when you're buying from either investment purposes, you're buying like a higher grade like this. If you can see it, it's going all over the place. But anyway, it's
beautiful.
You'll see on the back there. You're looking for that 999 fine. Yeah. So you can either get bars, and Kia will like this one. Coins.
That's my president.
Okay. Yeah, so both of those are 1 ounce, but there's pros and cons between buying bars and coins. At least again in the UK, they have different tax implications. I think we're going to do a deeper dive on that on another show. But yeah, I just thought it's worth mentioning that. The same like with gold. Well, yeah, you have different carats in jewelry, 9 carat, 18, 24. But again, you're looking for that 999 pure when it comes to these types of things.
That's excellent, because a lot of people don't know where to start. So like you said, 0.999 purity, troy ounce, or you can get 1/4 ounce, a 1/2 ounce. You get silver shots. I haven't seen them, but I heard of them. Is that a gram?
It's something like that. I can't remember. I tried to.
Probably about 5 grams, I think.
5 grams. Wow, that's nice.
But again, when it talks of depending on your budget,
Yes.
And it's also nice to have a range, I would say. So even if you could afford it, a kilo, and that was all you could afford, it's probably not wise to just buy a massive. I mean, do what you want, but difficult then to break it down. If you just say, well, actually, I only want to cash in a little bit of it. I want to keep some. It's nice.
Yeah. I think that's a very important thing to mention for people, that part of the reason that people might be considering gold and silver, and particularly those smaller denominations or sizes and weights, is the fact that if they do run into a situation where they need to liquidate that actually things like pawn shops, and there's many other ways that you can actually liquidate that. If you suddenly have to take back all the silver you bought because you bought a kilogram, for example, or all the gold you bought because you bought a couple of ounces, and that completely wiped you out, that puts you in a very difficult situation, when actually the whole idea at the moment for most of us would be that if you can buy and hold, that's the ideal scenario. But if you are just sort of hedging yourself against this rampant inflation that we're seeing at the moment, of course, you might actually buy some smaller coins, wait for inflation to move, and then maybe you do have to cash some of them in, but you haven't watched your savings value, maybe not the amounts, but the value dwindle in the meantime. So I think it's a very nice idea that you're raising there, Gary, that people can buy into this at levels they can afford, and in ways and manners in which, if they do need to get that money out at some point, that's feasible to do. Is that what you're finding, Keir? Do you think that people at the moment that you're so immersed in this area, do you think that people are managing just to buy and hold, or do you think that people throughout this process with inflation and so on might actually be trading back, then buying again and so on? What are you seeing?
I've seen a few scenarios. I've seen a lot of people that have actually acquired a lot of wealth over the years from working, whether it be their retirement accounts where they have tens of thousands of dollars. They may roll it over into gold and silver as a hedge against inflation, because they know the dollar has been devalued. It's not earning any money or interest on top of it. So they say, I'm going to roll it over into precious metals, where precious metals maintain their value and increase in value. So they're saying my savings is protected, it's a hedge against inflation, and I'm not going to spend it if I see it in metals. Then I see some people, and so that's one scenario. Then a second scenario would be people who say, I see silver and gold as wealth and not necessarily as money. It's a way that I can store what I have and pass it down to my posterity or my future generations. And I hope I never have to spend it. That's something Andy Shackman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, has to constantly remind me. Precious metals is wealth, Key. It's not an investment. I grew up poor. So for me, it's like, oh, this is an investment. I'm going to get rich one day. He said, no.
Well, it's another good point you make, though, because you also, if you're rubbish with money like I am, you can spend it, but not spend it. If you get that little buzz of, well, buy a nice something shiny, but your money's still in the silver. So you get that little buzz from buying something rather than just wasting it. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
have actually traded it in before when I needed something.
yeah. That's nice.
Not all of it, of course, but I'm glad I had that savings. If I just had dollars, I would have spent it. But if you put it into precious metals, you can store it, and then God forbid you need it one day. But I mean, if you do, you can liquidate it. So that's why it's important for everybody to have a relationship with your local precious metals dealer, not
Yeah,
just somebody
absolutely.
online, but somebody you can actually go to and talk to and exchange,
Mm.
the silver for dollars or whatever you might need.
I think the other important thing around that, Kia, that you touched on before as well, is just that when you go to make a decision to cash in your silver, or if you're fortunate enough to have gold, but your precious metal, if you do need to do that, that is actually a major decision. And there's
Mhm.
something in us as human beings that recognizes the value of that real money, the intrinsic
Absolutely.
value of silver, gold, and precious metals. When it's numbers on a screen, when you're
Yeah.
just tapping a card, it doesn't
Mm,
have that same emotional connection.
that's
And it
true.
does make you think twice. Do I really need to trade this in? Actually, I prefer to be buying some more of this, so I might be able to do some real good in the future, right? Or for my future generations, or for humanitarian projects and all the other things that we've been fortunate enough to discuss. So I think just as something on a more spiritual level, perhaps,
Yeah.
or certainly a more visceral level, that
Mm,
actually owning the coins, if you can yourself, does disincline you to
mm,
spend frivolously.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you're more inclined, like you said, to save and hold on to it and not spend it. Additionally, I want to say that when you take silver and gold and you put it on your body, your body will resonate with it. For
No,
example, as Gary was holding up the silver coin, I could feel that I needed that energy, and I could feel my body kind of vibrate. So when my emotion, and I know I was like, okay, I'm really, really tired. When you see silver, it did something to me. Oh yes. I
I
would
don't think you
encourage.
Can't get it to.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really like
I was
it's
just trying to
really,
give you some energy, but
I
it's
love it. You can put it on your chest, on your head, your
yeah,
forehead, and your body, and you can actually feel a
yeah,
difference. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there's a
I've
huge amount of healing properties in
mhm,
both gold and silver. Gold as very much an energetic thing, and as you touched on before, this thing of gold having that sort of yang and masculine energy and be
mhm,
connected to particularly the crown chakra, so
mhm,
energetically and so on. And then silver, this huge ability for some of these metals like silver to potentially have real medicinal quality,
mhm.
literally medicinal quality. People drinking from silver cups, for example,
Mhm.
we can
Yes.
suddenly start to feel now, and I'm sure you guys have got a sense of this anyway, but that the reason that things like drinking from golden cups, silver cups, and so on was
Mhm,
important wasn't just a display of wealth. This
mhm,
is to do with certain properties, certain
Mhm.
maybe mineral aspects, and so
mhm.
on, that people have
Even
known.
copper too.
Yeah.
Copper too.
I
And
don't
copper
know if
too.
you have the tradition here where we throw coins into a well, but
Mm,
it's kind of like a charity collection thing these days. You'll go around and they'll have a well and you throw in coins, but obviously originally it comes from the copper coins throwing it into the water, like you say.
mhm.
For
Yes.
the same with people drinking from or cooking with copperware. It's the same kind of thing. I've also heard it's good for the soil as well if you put in copper
Mm.
when you're growing plants and things. Yeah, so
And did you all know that they say that there were a group of beings that came here from planet Nibiru that came to mine the gold, and they used the gold to actually heal their planet, heal the atmosphere,
mm,
of their planet. That's
yes,
amazing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we're all tuning into this much bigger story
Yes.
mm,
around gold and silver. So I don't think it is. I mean, we're not in a position to hoard anything anyway, but say we were. But I think all of us on a more soul level are picking up that there's something more to this gold, silver, precious metals, and hence why we are, when we can, maybe we can only pick up an ounce of silver. Well, fine. But we have that feeling within us that's saying, this is more than its intrinsic, what
Mhm.
we've been told about it. This actually has all, as you're rightly pointing out, there might be a whole host of ramifications that we're just about to see and be revealed as part of this great revealing and this shift that we've all been through. And I think it's beautiful just on a humanitarian level that we can point out to people, this has always been a storehouse of wealth. And if you are fearful at the moment, which we don't want to encourage fear, but we certainly want to move people away from that paradigm, a way of alleviating those fears around finances is where you can get into something that you can hold, that you can keep, that you could trade. I just think it's a nice message to be sharing with people at the moment.
Yes, and get whatever silver you can afford. Consider the coins, or the bars, or also consider constitutional silver, silver that was minted before 1964, which they call junk silver, that has 90% silver, and you need that. It's very inexpensive. You need it for trade. If the SHI, you know what, hits the fan and you have no dollars, you can, all merchants recognize constitutional or junk silver as money. So you could trade with that. It's very inexpensive. Or get sterling silver, which is 92% silver. So do what you can. Get gold. If you can't afford gold, consider gold Arum notes. Gold Arum notes, I should have brought it. It's 24 karat gold that's pressed onto a note. It's real money and seen and recognized as money in many states here in America. So that's only like between $3.95 and $6.95 per note here in America. So I'm just trying to give you ways that you can actually own precious metals.
Yeah, and just to say for everybody, because we're running out of time as usual, we will put in our show more section, obviously the links to Miles Franklin, which relate to Kia, and please also tune into many of other Kia's videos, because a lot of them do relate to some various aspects of this and some more in depth. And we'll also put a couple of links to some companies in the UK, if that just feels it resonates more with certain people in our audience as well, to try and help them out. And again, I think the key thing here is we're all about sovereignty. Kia's about sovereignty, we're about sovereignty, the whole channel is. And the main thing here is just to get across the message that you can take control back. And it's a beautiful time to be doing that when so many of us seem to now be on that journey. And hopefully it's not just taking control back for ourselves, but for our friends, our family, our neighbors, and our future generations. So I know we're running out of time. Kia, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I think there's a whole load more we can dive into on this. We've raised all those different areas, haven't we, around the spiritual aspects, around the wealth, and all of those that we haven't really had a chance to dive into. So at some point, if you get the time, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. And you all, please get into precious metals. People are waking up with all the bank crises. At Miles Franklin, we've added 12,000 new customers in the last 30 days. That's how much people are getting into precious metals. Protect your assets.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you again, Kia. But for now, we hope to see you again soon. And for everybody watching us, thank you very much indeed. And Kia, if you want to say goodbye to your very many followers and family, please do.
And new friends in the UK as well.
And the goodbye, family. We love you all so much. And you two gentlemen, I hope you all become affiliates with somebody there so that we can put up the link on for our audience that live there too.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
All right. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you. Let's make it a great day, gentlemen.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.